All right, welcome everybody to another episode of the Battlefield Project podcast. I'm joined here with my buddy Jordan, better known as JBird. I'll introduce him in about a minute. But real quick, this is the podcast for people who understand that life is a battle and only the strong will thrive. We are not all about surviving here. That's part of the game, but we're more about thriving. So the goal of this podcast and the guests that I bring on here is basically to shine a light on all of them and let them share some of their stories. Basically to talk about some of the battles that they've overcome personally, professionally, spiritually, relationships, whatever, and how they overcame those battles and now the life that they're living because they had the courage and the fortitude to face those battles head on, as opposed to letting those battles defeat them, playing the victim card, and then going through life unhappy and unfulfilled because life's not fair. I think a lot of people are under the assumption that happy, successful people must have it nice and it must be easy, whereas 99.x% of the time, that's not the case. We all have our own battles. It's just the people that win and lose in life are separated by what you do with those battles. So some people face them head on, they win, they overcome them, and then they go into bigger, better things. Other people get knocked down, they stay down, they become victims, and then life is not fun. So my goal with this podcast is to inspire all of you who are listening to let you know that your situation problems are not unique. Everybody goes through these things, different things. And it's really just a matter of what you do. So I think my guest today is going to bring some fire and some heat to everybody. As I mentioned, his name is Jordan, and I'm going to mispronounce your last name here. So just go for it. What's your last name? I say Bergström.
You can call me JBird. That's why people call me.
I was going to say, better known as JBird. That's the easiest way of putting it. So he is the owner and CEO of Cross Country Wellness, which is a full spectrum CBD company. And he's also the head of sales for ROI Marketing. He's been in sales most of his life and enjoys the fellowship that he shared with thousands of people, which I think is super admirable to mention that in a bio, just because it's like human connections, what it's all about. JBird is newly engaged to the love of his life, and he's a stepdad to two amazing girls, and he's also a passionate dog owner of 4 dogs, which is impressive, man. We've got 2, and that's a handful. He loves the journey of helping people become better in life and business by leading by example, showing them that anything you put your mind to can be achieved. And he is here on this beautiful earth to be the difference that people want and need in the world. JBird, man, thanks for joining me. We've only gotten to know each other probably in the last like 6 months or so. So it's not a long-standing friendship that I have with him, but I've watched him do the work. I've been inspired by him. He does lead by example. I can vouch for that for the time that I've known him. He's currently doing 75 hard. He's a couple days, probably like a week ahead of me. So he's going to hit that finish line a little bit before me, the bastard. But yeah, man, thank you for being here. I'm excited. The platform is yours. Share some challenges that you've experienced, how you've overcome them. And then towards the end of it here, we'll talk about what you're doing currently and where people can find you.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thanks for having me on. It's a blessing to be here. It's just cool to do another podcast. You know what I mean? But a little bit about myself. I think the biggest adversity that I've actually overcame in life is losing my dad to an accidental overdose of pain pills back in 2015. That's kind of what shaped my career to what it is now and what my journey and my passion is. So I got a very probably relatable story to a lot of people. I come from a broken household from early on. My mom and dad split up when I was probably 10, 11, 12 years old. I can't really remember that far, but that was a little gray area in my life. And when they split, I know my mom did everything that she could to take care of me and my sister. And she remarried, and I have 3 awesome brothers by my stepdad now. But my real dad, I didn't have a really strong relationship with him growing up. And I was sitting in a bar one night and got a phone call that said, "Your dad's about to die." And it just brought me to my knees. And I was just like, man, this can't be real. I haven't got to talk to him. I haven't got to rekindle our relationship. And at that moment, that's kind of when, like about a week later, that's when I had a stronger faith in God and knowing that that there was a superpower up above, because I was working in the Southeast on cell phone towers at the time. Tennessee, Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, Florida, Virginia, Texas. I was all over that side, and my company called me and said, "How fast can you move to Vegas?" And that's where my dad was. And I was like, tomorrow, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'll get out there tomorrow. He was in a drug-induced coma after he got in his wreck. And I said, I'll be there tomorrow. So I booked a one-way plane ticket and as much clothes as I could pack. And I hopped on an airplane and I went, and I was just like, I showed up and I went to my dad's bedside, and he was just on a drug-induced coma. Well, for the next probably 30 days, he remained in that coma. And when he finally woke up, I was there. and he wrote on a whiteboard, "I want some Chinese food." That was his first thing.
Epic. Yeah.
That was his first thing that he could think of. I bet he was starving. So, he recovered and he got out of the hospital, and the doctors gave him blood pressure medicine and hydrocodone. He had 17 broken ribs, a fractured shoulder, and a punctured lung. And so you only have 24 ribs in your body, and 17 of his were broken. And so, like, anytime he laughed or coughed or go to the bathroom or, just moved your torso area, it was excruciating pain. And unfortunately, 6 months later, the pain pills and everything kind of caught up to him, and he just passed in his sleep. I think it was from a heart attack or something, just the overwhelming amount of pain pills. And so, that, like you said, the adversities in life, it could either spiral you downhill or you can make something of it and become a better person because of, the tragedy. And I wanted to be the example that people wanted to see. And I thought about everything in my life and like where I was at that point and how to be better. And being in Vegas, I saw that cannabis was going legal. Well, subconsciously, it's always been a passion of mine over drinking and everything like that. Coming from a state like Tennessee where it's still completely illegal. It was more fascinating in my early 20s. You know what I mean? And so I pursued my career in the cannabis industry at 27 years old, not knowing about a passion or having a passion, turning that death into my passion of wanting to help people have a holistic approach to being able to get off pain pills and stuff like that, and have some type of relief in life without having to get something that was pharmaceutically prescribed to somebody that's not necessarily good for you. You know what I mean? Just because it's prescribed by a doctor doesn't mean that it's good for you. And I still wholeheartedly believe that. So I started working in a dispensary, and I started collecting data on my own and realizing what products worked for people and what products didn't work. And over the 4 or 5 years that I was actually able to help, patients one-on-one, I probably helped upwards of 15 to 20,000, if not more people on an individual basis. And I realized that CBD was the number one, it was the number one thing that was actually consistently helping people with pain, with sleep, with anxiety, with PTSD, and stuff like that, inflammation. And so it got me thinking, and I wanted to turn that into a business. I wanted to turn that into something where everybody, even in my home state in Tennessee, would be able to take advantage of. So that's kind of how Cross Country Wellness was born, which is the company that I own. It's a full spectrum CBD company. I only have 4 SKUs. I didn't want to confuse people that when they went and tried to buy a product, they weren't like having a catalog of 30 different things and trying to find out what it is that we need. And my main combaters of my company were pain, sleep, anxiety, inflammation, insomnia, whatever, PTSD. And, just by my own data, I realized that my products has helped people significantly in those areas. And that's kind of how that's me in a nutshell so far.
So how long after your dad passed was it like, I'm going to start a business? Was it like that, like weeks, months, or was it like
years actually?
Years?
So I left in 2015, and Cross Country Wellness opened up in 2020.
Okay. So it took some time for it to find you, like the vision, and
absolutely. The more I started seeing people that were like my dad's age. So when dispensaries open up, you would think that it's going to be a bunch of like 18 or 21, 25-year-old kids coming in there. Well, in all reality, man, the dispensaries that when they opened up, you're starting to see people like mine and your parents coming in there because first time in their life, they don't have to go to their nieces and nephews and stuff like that to ask them to
feel
go
shady.
Yeah, they just feel really comfortable walking into the store and buying it themselves. It's the whole experience. So, every time that somebody was telling me that they're in pain, or somebody telling me that they can't sleep, or somebody that says, I have severe anxiety of just daily activities, driving on the interstate, whatever the case may be, I saw my dad in them. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I was just like, man, if I had the chance and the knowledge that I have now that I didn't have back then, I might have been able to help you a lot more.
Yeah.
And so that really, every single day, I just kind of went home and thought about, man, I'm tired of working for the man. You know what I mean? How can I
Yep.
be the man? How can I help people on my own?
Yeah.
And, uh, I got together. Zach Williams has been my best friend for the past 10 years, and he's been an expert marketer at everything that he does. And, he came to me and he actually gave me a vision of how to even open my own business. He started an accountability text message group.
Yeah.
In that group, you know, in 2020, that's when Cross Country Wellness was born. I got on Fiverr and created a logo and
Yep.
created an LLC. And then him and my other partner, Jim, gave me the capital because I was working, making $18 an hour. They gave me the capital to be able to fund the first half of my business. And because they believed in me, they knew that I
Yeah.
knew what I was talking about and everything like that. So they lent me some money and I went to the suppliers and I, proposed an offer to them and they accepted it. And I was just like, oh, wow, this is real now.
Here we
So
go.
here we go. So, I placed my first order with my supplier and got in my products, and Zach built out the website and, we linked it to Shopify, and boom, I started promoting it. And there, my
Yeah.
order came in, and like my first month I did like $400 or $500 in sales. And I was just like, this is amazing,
Yep.
And so, fast forward to now, I got like 40 or 50 people a month that subscribe and have like a
Awesome.
monthly subscription coming to their house. You get 30% off when you subscribe to the products. But then also I'm in about 15 different dispensaries now out in
Okay.
Vegas. I'm in one in New Mexico, and I'm working on a strategic partnership now down in Dallas. But it's just the way that it's grown organically has been, superb. I can't say enough of, like, I get testimonies from people that just said, like, I get I got so many screenshots of testimonies of people saying, you have no idea how much this has helped me, how much this
Yeah.
has helped my anxiety, how much this has relieved my pain.
Yep.
And like those testimonies, bro, like those are better than money, because I know that I'm actually helping
Changing
somebody
lives.
get their life back, bro.
Yep.
Like if you had a sleeping problem right now, you probably, and I told you that I had a product that would make you sleep, there's no amount of money that you could put on that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Whether it's anxiety, whether it's depression, whether it's, just lower back pain, you know what I mean? What would you pay
Totally.
to cure your lower back pain? A lot of people would say thousands of dollars if I could.
Yeah. And you're
So
like, here's a product for less than 100. You're like,
exactly.
what? Like, yeah, shit.
100%, and
Yeah.
so I try to lead with education and tell people the why, and lead them with that first, opposed to trying to get them just to buy every single product and try it out.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
dude,
so,
I can vouch for CBD. I worked with a CBD company here locally for a couple years, so I got to know what it is pretty well. I was using their like topical lotion. I work out all the time. I'm 40, so I'm like, just naturally as you get older, you're like, oh, my lower back, like you mentioned, like, oh, my quads and oh my, like everything just aches all the time. And I would go to a couple different, I don't know what they call, like, not conferences, but like pop-up things where it's like local businesses and you show your product. And I would literally like have samples there, and people would come and they talk to me, and I'd explain what it is and kind of how it works from like a layman's perspective. Like, I know there's a lot of science that goes into like the cannabinoid system, like all the stuff that people don't really care as long as it works. And I'd be like, yeah, I have tendonitis in my elbow and like everything, my wrists hurt. And one lady had braces on her wrist, and I was like, take your braces off, like rub some of this salve on your arm, like, and come back, like go around, walk around, spend an hour, come back and tell me how. And she came back and she's like, what did you do? She's like, it was, and like it had like a peppermint smell to it. And she's like, I smell good, I feel good. Like she was like on cloud nine. And that's one of like, I'm not gonna say hundreds because it wasn't, but like of the people I talked to, every one of them would be like, this is magic. Like, what did you just do to me? And I'm like, it's not magic. Like, it's just plant-based medicine that like works, because like it, for me, I'm like, I smoked a ton of weed growing up, and I don't smoke anymore, but I'm certainly not anti-weed. And I'm like, God gave a plant that grew out of the earth. Like, I trust that way more than I trust scientists in white lab coats making money for a big pharmaceutical company that's going to turn profits and make you sick so they can sell you another pill to make you better that makes you sick with the side effects. Like, I'm like, fuck all that. Like, I trust like this plant from like the earth way more. And that's like, I pitched it and I sold it. So I don't want to be like, I'm selling your product, but like, yeah, if you're listening to this and you have aches and pains, and I never have problem with sleep, so I can't vouch for that on a personal level, but I've known people that can, like anxiety, like don't have that. So I don't have to, but like aches and pains, I can vouch for 100% that CBD does the trick. And I can say that I know other people who I trust who've used it for other purposes, anxiety, sleep, all that stuff, and they vouch for it too. So if you've never tried CBD and you're a human being and you have any kind of aches and pains, which we all freaking do, I would say give CBD a shot. And if you don't know anybody or you don't have a company that you trust and like, I would say, I'll put in the show notes later, but I'll link your website, man. Cause yeah, I mean, I know, like, and trust you. So if you're saying your product's a legitimate product, which I have no doubt it is, I would say absolutely try that, because it is kind of like magic. And it's what pisses me off, and I'm kind of going on a side tangent here, but like what pisses me off is that everybody doesn't know about it already, because it's like, why would everybody not at least be educated enough to know they should try it? And it's because you turn on the TV and there's 85 pharmaceutical commercials every day saying this is how you solve the problem, and then people believe the TV, and here we go again. So yeah, I mean, I'll put in the show notes too, like your website, your Facebook handle, and all that stuff, so people can link up with you that way if they have more questions that we're not going to answer here on this podcast, but about what product for what specific ailment that they're experiencing. I would highly suggest giving it a shot, because it's an all natural alternative to probably the shit and poison that you're pumping in your body now, and still not getting the relief that you're being told you're going to get from the people you're supposed to trust. So
Absolutely.
off my soapbox.
No, man. And to be honest, to add on to that, that's exactly kind of what got me started in realizing that there was quote unquote magic in there, because I let a lady try some of the cream, and so before I even had my own products, I was brand new from Memphis, Tennessee, and I started the day after the Las Vegas shooting.
Wow.
That big ass Mandalay Bay shooting.
Yep.
And when people were coming in, you know what I mean? They came into the dispensary. We were only medical at the time, so we didn't go recreational until 20 days later. And so when I let this one lady try this pain cream, and she put it on her shoulder, and she came in, like this.
Yeah.
When she was done, she was lifting her arm like this.
Yeah.
And like moving it. And I was just like, you just came in like a sling, dude. Like,
yeah.
What's going on? She's like, I feel better.
Yeah.
Like, for me, I was like, there's no way. I was like,
right.
So like for probably the next 2 weeks, bro, I was like, every person that came in there, they said that they were hurting in a specific spot. I was like, 1 second, come over here. Let's try it.
Yeah. I'll rub it on. Shit.
Yeah, I'll do it for you. You know
yeah.
What I mean? And so 9 out of 10 people gave me the same reaction. Within probably 60 to 90 seconds, they felt relief.
Yeah.
I was just like, man, there is something in there, bro.
Yeah.
And that's one of the main reasons why I made the topical one of my products, was because you get the most direct relief from it.
Yep.
But now, I'm realizing that my two number one sellers are my capsules, because people don't like the taste of the oil.
Yeah.
And I had to find that out by selling a Montel Williams product, believe it or not. So Montel Williams came out with these capsules, and they sold like hotcakes. And I was just like, man, fuck Montel Williams, dude. I was like, what story does he's already rich, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, have that I can't provide, that I can be way more relatable to people,
Yep.
And so many people have been able to relate to me with a loved one that's passed away from an opioid addiction, or any type of like pain pill addiction and stuff like that. And they've been able to turn their life around by trying my products. Like I've gotten people off of morphine by trying my products. You know what I mean? So it's just, those stories, bro, can't be replicated, and they just mean so much to me. That is just, that leads me to know that I'm doing the right thing, and I'm leading my heart and education, and more so, people are actually getting relief from this product.
I say it's an honest product, which is like, in sales, it's always like, I could sell anything if I believe in the product, because I know it's a legitimate, honest product. Whereas like the proverbial snake oil salesman who's trying to sell a bunch of shit, and eventually it's going to catch up to him and karma is going to smack him in the face, which it should. Like this is not that. So it's, yeah, I can imagine you wake up each day and you're like, yeah, fuck yeah, I want to talk as much about this as possible because it can literally change lives without, I mean, from my basic understanding, like there's no potential negative side effects. And again, reach out to Jordan after like with the links and stuff. But if you're listening to this, because what a common objection I got was, I'm a nurse, I can't use it, or I'm a teacher, I can't use it because I can't fail a drug test. And like if it's no THC in it or what, like there's percentages and stuff that he can explain later, you're not going to fail a drug test by rubbing this lotion on you. It's like, it's a topical, it's not going to show up in drug tests, it's not going to make you high, it's not going to make you hallucinate. Like there's none of that voodoo shit that goes on with some people that are like, I'm not going to touch weed and plants because I don't want to get high. Like this isn't that, which again, I have nothing against that, but like that makes this even more magical in some ways because it's like you don't risk anything by using this and feeling better. Like it's like a list of 100 pros and 0 cons to it. So it's phenomenal.
We have extensive lab testing. We have a full panel lab testing. I got to pay $350 per product annually to have my products tested. So being in Las Vegas, we're probably one of the most compliant states when it comes to cannabis and their testing because of all the casinos and everything there and all the legalities of everything. I mean, Vegas has practically found, everything that you can do in this country and make it legal somehow.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So when it comes to the testing, I have a full panel lab testing where it breaks down like if there's any heavy metals in there, if any pesticides in there, if there's any feces in there, if there's any there's this new stuff blowing around the air called aspergillus. So it gives you all the cannabinoids and it tells you if there's any terpenes in there. And terpenes are an essential part. Terpenes are in everything, but the terpenes of cannabis have actually their own healing effects too in different symptoms and ways. So more than anything, I mean, the lab testing that I have, you can go on my website, you can see the lab testings and see for yourself. I also have, a couple of reviews of people that have taken my oil and I paid for their drug test afterwards. They got done. So they did like a 30-day supply of taking the oil. And then I told them, I said, go take a drug test right after this because these people have never smoked weed before. I was just like, I want to pay for like a Quest Diagnostics lab test to show people that this doesn't make you fail a drug test. And so I've got a couple people that's actually done that as well, awesome. just to prove, you know what I mean, that this is safe for people.
Yeah. Fucking awesome, man. I'm glad you're sharing this information because I haven't talked about CBD in a long time since I left that company, but it's something I'm passionate about. Like it's a hidden passion, I guess you can call it for me. I have a bottle upstairs in our kitchen that I just started recently rubbing on my shoulder and neck because I got some soreness, and I'm like, okay, I feel better when I do that each night. So it's something I firmly believe in. So I'm glad I'm going to be able to share this episode with people that may or may not have heard of it before, or maybe on the fence about, and they're like, like I know Matt and this guy seems legitimate. Like I'm going to at least like have a conversation, do your own research, whatever you want to do. But yeah, man. And so to kind of loop it back into like to the battle, like what a cool, I mean, it sounds awful, but I don't want to say it, like what a cool story, because it's not a cool story. Like I lost my dad a year and a half ago, so like that's not cool. Like, I'm not making light of that, but the fact that you took that tragedy and the pain that, like, again, you could have lost your dad and been like, give me my own pills, like I hurt, like I want to numb the pain, and you could have been a statistic. Like that very well could have happened, but instead of that, it was like, okay, take that pain, that suffering that I'm feeling for the loss that I have, and like, how can I give the gift of eliminating that for other people? And that to me is like nobility at its finest, is taking your own tragedy or pain or whatever, and instead of dwelling on it and suffocating by it, doing good from that. And I think that's exactly what you did, man. Like I said, I don't really, like, I've never met you in person, like, but I feel like it's a kindred spirit thing, because if my dad would have passed from something like that, I probably would have like thought like I would have been on the exact same path as you, which is like, I'm I don't want my friend's dad to experience, like, to die from that, and then have to know my friend feels the pain that I'm feeling right now from that loss. What can I do to eliminate that, or at least mitigate that chance? And you're doing, I mean, this isn't a religious podcast, and I don't know if like you're doing a higher power's work, whether you call it God, universe, whatever. You're doing a higher power work because more and more people need to heal, because everyone's in some kind of pain, physical, mental. And if you're giving people a chance to do that without side effects and without getting hooked on other stuff that could potentially kill them, and proof and pudding with your dad did kill him, like, there's really nothing bigger you can do with your life than something like that. So
Thank you, man.
I respect the shit out of it, man.
Thank you. Yeah. And, like, I think a lot of people can relate to that in a way too, of like, why? So the story of, why are you an alcoholic? Well, because my dad was an alcoholic. Or why are you not an alcoholic? Well, because my dad was an alcoholic. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So there's the same person can have the same variable, but go take it two different paths.
Yep.
Because of they either A, wanted to be like that person because they admired that person enough, or they wanted to take what that person taught them and go a different direction and help people not be that person.
Yep.
And that's kind of how I've been my whole life, So I've always taken, the reason why I started 75 Hard even was, I saw a picture of myself, and then my youngest wasn't doing the best in school. And even though I'm a stepdad, they're not my real kids. They're 14 and 17-year-old girls right now, and they're very impressionable.
Yep.
And I wanted to be that shining light that they looked up to and said, you know what, my stepdad has probably been one of the best examples for me in this pivotal point of my life of being a young adult. Yep. You know what I mean? And so if I can't lead my own house by example, who am I? You know what I mean? So that was mainly one of the biggest things, like being in Apex. I can't shout them out enough for just surrounding myself with the most amazing, bright people. And I felt like I was doing everything in life correct, but the fitness part, I've always gave myself some type of excuse of why to hold out on the fitness. I cheered in high school, believe it or not. Okay. And I did have a left shoulder injury that I thought I had. Yeah. It was just the lack. So it was the lack of working out. You know what I mean? So when I've been in 2 car accidents last year, October 27th and November 9th. I was rear-ended.
Wow. Jeez. Yeah.
And so when I was going to see the chiropractor told me, he's like, man, your glutes are super weak. And I was just like, he's like, that's the reason why you're having lower back pain.
Yep.
And I was like, really? And he's like, bro, he's like, you start working out. He's like, your back pain will be gone. And I was like, shut up. And like all these things started like clicking with me. And I was like, everybody is telling me that I need to do some type of fitness. I need to go work out. You know what I mean? I need to be stronger in areas that I'm weak in. And, and then my kids, and then just being a better now fiance, and being a better stepdad. I wanted to be the example that people looked up to and respected, you know what I mean? And so that's kind of how my journey has evolved, was just by lessons, you know what I mean? Learning what I didn't want to be, looking at people that I didn't want to be like, and then running the other direction.
Yeah. Dude, we're one and the same. We're two of the same, whatever the fuck the saying is, like, because that's exactly, people are like, why do you work out so much? I'm like, for my daughter's sake, like, I want them to see me and like the amount of energy I put into my health, and choose a mate in the future. And they're only 2 and 4.5 months. So it's, God, please be a long time from now. Please, please, please. But eventually they're going to choose probably, like, to be with somebody. And I want to be that comparison model for them. It's like, they don't measure up. They're not like, and that's not egotistical, but like, they don't measure up to my dad, like not doing it. And like, I'm setting a bar fucking high because I want them to only go after the absolute best, because I want them to get the best because they deserve the best. And then for my son, same thing. It's like, he's 4.5 months old, but I take him out in the gym with me. I sit him in his little rocker chair, and like, he rocks back and forth. And I go over and talk to him, and I'm like, he's watching, doing stuff, and he's like, has no idea probably what's going on. But like, I'm like, absorb, buddy, absorb, because I want you to go like outperform me. Like, I started late, like 35 is when I got serious about health and fitness. Like, I want him to be 15, 13, and not like, squatting 300 pounds or anything crazy, but like, understand that health and fitness is the way to go. And you summed it up by like, it's the example. Like, you got to be the example in life. And that's what I think you're doing 75 hard life in general, but now using 75 hard as a tool. And also with the CBD stuff is like your kid, you know, your girls, your wife, fiance, soon to be wife, like, and then everyone on social media and friends and family, like they see that happening and it's like, oh, okay, like he's helping other people feel better. What could I do, whether it's physical, mental ailments, what can I do to make people feel better? Because I see JBird doing it and how happy it makes him. Shit, if I could feel some of that happiness by helping other, and you know, that the gist of this entire podcast and kind of everything I do in life is a ripple effect. Like I want to do 1 or 10 good things per day that one person sees and they embody it and they do it, and then 3 of their friends see it and they do it and 2 of their friends, and it's just like this ripple effect that goes out across the ether. And if I feel like, you know, you're doing that, and if I can do that, I'll die happy. Like, and I don't want to die anytime soon, but like I could die today and I would be happy because I know for the last 5 years, 7, 10 years, like I've done everything I can on a daily basis to make the world a better place. And that's, I think, what you're doing personally and then also professionally with the CBD stuff. So keep that shit up, brother.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, we were at dinner the other night celebrating. So my real good buddy, he proposed to his girl the same week, and I didn't know that he was doing it.
Nice.
I already had my date planned for 11/11 to do mine.
Yeah.
And he actually did his in Spain with his. And so when he came back to Vegas, we're all at the dinner table, and we're at a real nice restaurant, and they ordered a bottle of wine. And when they went and did the toast, they were like, "JBird, you're not drinking?" I was like, "Nah, I'm doing 75 hard, man. Here's a toast to my water."
Yeah.
And just like the respect that I've been getting, the really awesome messages that people have actually sent to me that are just, you know, pushing me to keep going.
Yep.
The compounding ripple effect, like you said, that I'm actually receiving of doing this has been phenomenal, man. Like I can't believe that so many people are watching, you know what I mean? And how it's inspired so many people just by me focusing on myself and being the best version of myself.
Yep.
That's inspiring to people because people look up. I didn't realize so many people like were watching me or were looking up to me, or me taking action caused them to start looking up to me, which was kind of, you know, like I can relate to the fat guy that doesn't do anything, you know what I mean? So if he can do it, so can I.
Yeah.
And that's really, I feel like what a lot of people need is just that extra push from somebody that they can relate to. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I can relate to somebody that has tattoos. That's how I started following Zach so hard and being, you know, Zach's biggest supporter. I was like, here's a dude with neck tattoos and, you know, that overcame death by a motorcycle accident.
Yeah.
If he can do it, so can I. And that's no shot at him, but it was just somebody that I could relate to. I couldn't relate to somebody like yourself that has a 6-pack.
Yeah.
Jacked, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I had to relate to somebody that I still felt that was really relatable to my body structure.
Similar starting point. Yep.
Just everything, you know what I mean? So that alone, I think, is another key factor that if go find somebody that you're relatable to, that has the same values as you do, that kind of runs with you and stuff like that, and find out what it took for them to overcome to be able to help your own self. You know what I mean?
Totally.
And so.
Awesome, dude. Well, where can people find you if they want to connect with you on social media or your website? Give me the lowdown and I'll put it in the show notes as well so people can click and easily access it. But
so I'm going to create you a actual discount code for anybody that's watching this. We'll do a discount code. So go to crosscountrywellness.com. We can use discount code Battlefield.
Fucking love it.
Yeah. Okay. So crosscountrywellness.com, use discount code Battlefield. That'll get you a 15% discount on every single order that you decide to place because of this podcast. Thank you, Matt. And then you can catch me on social media all across the board at Cross Country Wellness, or you can also find my personal page at JBird. That's JBird_CCW, which stands for Cross Country Wellness. So, man, I really appreciate you having me on the show and at least being able to share a snippet of what I'm doing in life right now.
Yeah, man. My sincere pleasure. I appreciate you being here. If you haven't tried CBD, fucking try it. It works. Thank me later. But yeah, man, thank you for being here. I deeply appreciate it. I appreciate the friendship. Keep leading by example, doing what you're doing. make people feel better, change lives in that regard. And if everyone's watching this, I appreciate you watching it. If you got any value from it, please share it, whether it's this specific show or the channel in general, or a different show that you watch that you know, we're like inspired by, or like, hey, my brother or sister, cousin, whoever, my friend might be inspired by a story similar to this because they're going through similar stuff. And if they can do it, like he said, JBird said, if he can do it, I can do it. That's what this is all about. So appreciate all of you listening. JBird, I appreciate you, my friend, and I'll see you all on the battlefield later.